my friend join me today. I want to introduce you to Katie Atkins. She is a lactation specialist and she is with Arkansas Lactation. So I'm really excited to have her. So
Thank you.
Katie, say hi. It's good to
Hi,
have you.
everyone. It's great to be here.
How are you doing today during all this madness?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy. I didn't think that it was gonna last this long, and here we are, and nobody knows when it's gonna end. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anybody who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about your job as a lactation specialist.
Yeah, so I run Arkansas Lactation, and basically it's all about infant feeding, and so we specialize in home visits specifically, but also offer different settings to go into for patients to come to a clinic and be seen. And we also offer virtual consults and phone consults, and so it's a wide variety. But our main goal is to see mothers in home and help with their feeding needs, whether that be they be strictly breastfeeding or pumping and bottle feeding or formula feeding. And so we just take a non-judgmental approach, and our goal is to help mom reach her goals in home, in the comfort of her home, generally, not during this time, but when things are normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important. And I know that breastfeeding can be really scary at first, especially for new moms, just getting it all figured out. So I think you are a wonderful resource for helping that transition. And that's good to know too, that like even if they're formula feeding, if baby's just not having, not eating well or having some issues there, that's wonderful that you're there to help in that aspect too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into this business.
So I was actually working in postpartum at Washington Regional in Fayetteville, and I really loved my hospital job at the time. But I noticed moms when they would come in for like an outpatient visit, so 2 days after delivery, they'd be lugging the car seat through the parking lot, up the stairs, down the hall. And I mean, they're 2 days postpartum. And so I thought, man, there's got to be a better way for these moms. These moms are having C-sections and episiotomies, and then they're expected to get up and drive or find somebody to be driven to back to the hospital, find childcare, all of these things that you shouldn't have to be juggling 48 hours after a major life event. And so I just thought, there's got to be a better way to meet moms where they're at and get them the care that they need in the place that they're the most comfortable.
That's awesome and so thoughtful because you're right. I mean, giving birth and then having to lug all of the accessories and you're getting yourself ready and baby ready, it's a lot.
It's crazy. It's a really high expectation, and I think it's an added stress that doesn't have to be there. And not taking away from what they do at the hospital, because I think they do a fantastic job. It's more the logistics that I was trying to help out with.
Absolutely. I think that's fabulous. Tell me what's your favorite part? Like, what do you love about what you do?
Man, I feel so fortunate to just be able to say that I really, truly love my job. And I know a lot of people don't get to say that, so it brings me much gratitude to be able to say that. But I love helping moms in the transition into motherhood, just because there's so much stress and so much joy at the same time. It can feel like a little bit of a push and pull. And I think that I just consider it a huge honor to be in the role that I'm in. I think that feeding your baby before you have your first is like, well, I mean, I have two boobs and a baby, so I should be good to go. And then you oftentimes get to the point where it's time to feed, and there's a lot of challenges that can be presented. And to have the right support in place, usually those things can be knocked out, and they're not too bad. But sometimes you need continued support, and to just function in that, to be able to function in that role of providing support in such a vulnerable time is really an honor.
Absolutely. I love that so much. Tell me a story about a satisfied client of yours.
Uh, well, I actually saw a mom last week before we got quarantined, and she came in and she was in a lot of pain. Um, and she was just missing a small part on her pump to be able to actually get milk out. And so when I get to see this every single day, my perspective isn't like this close to the situation, and so it's a lot easier for me to pinpoint what's going on.
Mhm.
And then obviously just having experience, and so something that was causing her pain for over a week and causing her to not be able to feed her baby was a really easy fix.
Yeah.
Um, and so things like that, I get a lot of things that are like, oh, here, let's tweak this, let's do this, and you're going to be good. And then I also get patients that, we work together for a couple months until we get things worked out because there's just more challenges.
Mhm.
So that was a fun one.
Yeah, that's a good point because they are so like it's all right here and they're not able to see the full picture and they're stressed and they're tired and it's nice to have that outside perspective be like, oh no, you just need this, so
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
it's amazing what 8 hours of solid sleep can do. They're coming in with like 1, 2, 3 hours maybe, and I've slept
Right.
all night. So
Yeah.
it's even just that subtle difference can make a huge difference in care.
Absolutely. So, Katie, tell me when do most people reach out to you? Do you have many people who come before birth that like talk to you? Is there a point when it's too late for them to reach out to you? Kind of go over
Sure.
that for me.
Yeah, so I have actually I do a lot of private prenatal classes in home, or sometimes people like to meet at their favorite coffee shop, and I do a lot of that, and I think that's really really helpful. One, because I tailor the class based on the person's health history and how their pregnancy's been going. These are probably the issues that you may run into given what you've already been through, and so it's a much better setting than a class type setting because I can cater it to the woman specifically. So I do offer prenatal classes, and then most women, I would say 95% of women reach out maybe within 1 to 5 days after birth. They get home and it's just overwhelmed. So helping them just sort through, okay, here's what's going on. This is normal. This is not. This is what you need to look out for. This is how you know that baby's getting enough. This is, you know, all of those types of things. And then up to, I had a 9-month-old last week. And so we were addressing, I do a lot of help. My undergrad is in nutrition and dietetics, so I do a lot of help with transitioning to solids.
That's awesome. Do you Is there any like one thing that you see all the time that is just maybe a missing piece of information? Like maybe we just are told the wrong thing, or maybe we're just unaware of like one specific piece. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I think I spend a lot of time educating on normal amount of milk supply, what's normal and what is not necessarily oversupply, but not normal. And what I mean by that is moms, they're scrolling a lot and they see a lot of what other moms are producing,
Mhm.
and they come in thinking I'm not making enough. And so I address a lot of that. What's normal for baby and mom. The other thing is sleep and feeding. So we live in a culture where that baby's supposed to be on a schedule and that baby's supposed to eat every 3 hours, and because we need to go back to work. And while I understand that completely, there's a lot of pressure to get in a routine so that you can get sleep so that you can function at work. It also goes against breastfeeding and milk supply, and so a newborn baby is designed to feed on demand, even all the way up and through baby led weaning. Um, and so that doesn't necessarily make sleep training it's not a very good match. So
Mhm.
I spend a lot of time educating about, here's some gentle methods that we can do to encourage longer stretches of sleep. But at the same time, we've got to prioritize your milk supply based on what you want to do and what your goals are. So if you want to breastfeed to a year, here's what we need to do with sleep and feeding. If you
Mhm.
are trying to get to 6 months, here's what we need to do in the first 6 weeks for sleep and feeding. And so those are probably the number one aside from latch and the basics and stuff like that.
Right. That's very interesting. I hadn't really thought about that because I feel like there is a big push on, setting that schedule up immediately, and that may
Yeah.
not always be conducive to supply and also what baby needs and wants. So that's really
Yeah.
interesting.
And I think moms it breaks my heart because they have so much pressure to do it right, and maybe right looks different for them,
Yeah.
so getting to encourage moms in that realm is there's not one right way to do it. There are ways that you can hurt your supply and help your supply or things like that.
Oh,
Did I lose you?
yeah, you're back.
As far as I lost my train of thought, but anyways, I just my main goal is just to help moms meet their specific goals. So
That's awesome. And I think you're right. Like there is no one right way to do it. And so
yeah,
often with seeing social media, I mean, we just think, oh, well, she's doing it this way,
yeah,
but if maybe that's not working for me, then that doesn't necessarily mean you're failing at what you're doing. You just gotta
not at
find.
all, not at all. And I think that if anything, like that's probably part of the most important part of my job is just reassuring and encouraging that there isn't one right way, but we're going to help you meet your specific goals.
Absolutely. I love that. That's awesome. Katie, do you have a special offer for our audience?
Yeah, I thought about this a little bit, and I think that the most helpful thing at this point would be to offer for whoever has been in tune with this video, just to offer a free phone consult to help you discern your next best steps. So if you're struggling with something and you don't know, do I need a visit? Is this an easy fix? Some stuff like that, then that's something we can decipher on the phone. Um, and so, since I'm not doing in person consults right now, I think that's the best offer that I could do.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. When we're not in a quarantine situation, where do people find you?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page, Arkansas Lactation. My Instagram is Arkansas Lactation, and then www.arkansaslactation.com. You can fill out a quick form, and I get in touch with you, and usually see you within 24 hours because I know these things are time sensitive.
Mhm.
So you can reach out any of those three methods, or you can just call me directly. So
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, I'll link those links for you in the comments so people can have a quick, easy access for that. But
yeah,
thanks
and
so much.
one more
Yeah,
thing that I would like viewers to know is that insurance does cover lactation, and so if you're worried about cost, there's always a way around that.
awesome. Thanks for bringing that up because I meant to ask you
Yeah,
that and I just got sidetracked. So
yeah, no, that's usually my frequently asked question, and so um, insurance companies are mandated by law to cover lactation. They don't always put that out in the open, but they do. So we can see you without charge.
yeah, that's wonderful. Such a good resource too.
Yeah.
Um, I highly encourage you, if any of you listening need Katie's services, just reach out to her. She is so kind and so easy to talk to, and she'd be more than willing to answer your questions. So thank you so much for being with us and sharing your information with us.
Thank you for having me. It was so great.
Thanks. All right. Well, y'all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.